character, loud voice, strong will, anything to get myself on, you know. Big dreams, big steps, breaking less and building more. Take the weight, drop the pain, dust the fear and you for sure. Big moves, giant steps into the shining light. Big moves, giant steps into the shining light.
Welcome to Women's Space. I'm so excited to have you guys. Thank you for coming. As you know, here at Women's Space, we have conversations that are unconventional, impactful, and vulnerable. So I'm very excited to hear your stories, and I'm very excited for you guys to hear the stories that they have to share. But before we get started, let's actually have a quick introduction. And I'll start with myself. I'll share my name, the industry I'm working in or my profession, and just anything exciting that you guys would love to share. As you know, my name is Oge, your host. I work in tech as a senior Scrum Master. I'm also an entrepreneur. And during my free time, I travel and I dress.
Hello guys, I'm Amaki Akoyemi. I'm a Nigerian food critic and I travel too.
Hi, I'm Nonso. I'm a video director, producer, editor. I run a production company and I also market for brands and content.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel. I'm a banker, popularly known as a celebrity banker. I own a relocation company. I'm a Job Life president.
Hi guys, I'm Oluwapelumi or Adeto, any one of them. I'm a social media manager and I also create content for brands, aside also loving to flex and visit cool and fun places in Nigeria.
All right, so before we get our conversation started, we're gonna have our lovely waitress serve us some nice drinks, warm us up, and we'll get things going. So today is a bit, I wouldn't call it heavy, but it's an important conversation that we don't always see in the forefront, mental illness. Whether it's something we have experienced ourselves, whether it's anxiety or depression, so on, or whether it's something that we know somebody close to us or someone we just know in general has experienced, it's a conversation that I believe I have not seen in the forefront in Nigeria, in Africa. But it's so important for me to not speak on the behalf of professionals and creatives working here, just the people here, because at the end of the day, that has not been my experience. So it's so important for you guys in these different industries to share your own experiences, but experiences you may have witnessed from other people. So the first question I have for you guys is, truthfully, do you believe that mental illness is something that's being taken seriously here in Nigeria?
Well, our generation is taking it seriously. The previous generation, not so much. Not so much. Our parents, our grandparents, when you tell them you have mental illness, they'll think you're crazy, they think you're mad. That's the only mental illness they know. They don't think about depression, ADHD, suicide, and the likes. They don't value that as mental illness.
I would say it depends where in Nigeria. So some places are more aware and they are putting in action compared to other places. So I'll say probably Lagos, Abuja, and some other states. It's still a work in progress. It's not where it needs to be, but there's already conversation that's starting. So some places are more aware than other places. I'll say that.
Yeah, like you said, it's a work in progress, and I feel like it comes, like you also said, with the woke generation, right? I mean, back then, no one really, even companies are beginning to understand the need for having to take care of your mental health and mental space, and that's a good thing that is beginning to get accepted into the space that we are right now.
That's good. So let's talk a little bit about anxiety, and that's something personal to me, just like you guys have shared. Even though our generation is more we talk more about it, and we honestly, we embrace things that we experience at times. But it was something for me personally when I was experiencing anxiety, high anxiety in a toxic work environment. It was something I was running away from. And that's mainly because, I don't know, just the thought of labeling myself as someone that had anxiety, I just felt as if in a way that was, I don't know, making me feel incapable, you know, until I reached a certain threshold where literally hands are shaking, even while I'm sleeping, grinding teeth, even till this day, because of the effects of not getting the assistance with the anxiety and allowing it to drag on in the long term. So I know, just even looking at the statistics, they say that anxiety right now is at its highest peak. So many factors, whether it's social media, whether it's just work-life balance, or just our climate right now. Have you guys ever experienced anxiety or just know someone that has battled with anxiety?
I don't think it's actually possible for any human not to experience anxiety. I mean, we all worry about normal, basic struggles like what to eat, what to wear, and how to survive. And that's why we work, basically. But then we find out that the pressures of the world are actually it's becoming a lot, and I think that's why it has actually increased now. Plus, like what they said earlier when you asked the question about
It's being taken seriously.
yes, I feel like it's because like our past generations, like our parents, their parents, and their parents,
And so on.
the load is actually like a lot on this generation right now. So I actually love the fact that people are becoming more aware about what's going on in the mental space.
So when you experience anxiety, if you have any recommendations for our audience, anybody that's listening, what are some tips that you would have to kind of cope or, get past it?
Well, growing up, I was not a talker, so I think talk to people. That's one step I took that I think has made things better. Talk to people, write about how you feel, and seek help. Actually,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Personally, given the story you gave about work and how I have experienced it, right? There was some place that I was working at. It was good for like a long time, and at the point I started to feel very choked up. Like, started to feel very exactly, and going into the office, I would be scared. But why am I scared? I've been here for a long time. What is making me? So like the whole fear, being, anxious and overwhelmed and all of that. I try to work on it. There'll be cases where you really, really try to work on it. It doesn't work out. Personally, I think what helped me was I walked away from it.
That's what I was going to ask. What's
Exactly.
the point you reach where what? It's not about bearing it or working through it, but what's the point where it becomes unhealthy, where you have to remove
walk away
yourself?
from it. That was exactly what I did.
How did you know when to do that?
When I couldn't communicate with people there anymore, right? And a couple people tried to talk to me, but I tried to make it work, right? I'm like, see, guy, I'm tired of doing the same thing. Got to a point where I felt like it's not even about the work anymore. It's not even about the people. It's the fact I needed to tear myself away from the environment, which was what I did. And I kid you not, the time I resigned, I just went to a lounge and sat down, and I felt like this wave of freedom, or like I just lifted, some heavy weight. And ever since, it was a lot better for me up until today. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can even see you now, and I can still feel the emotion that's in there based off whatever it is that you experienced, and I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of women and men out here right now going through those experiences, and if you could give them just one form of advice, they're in an anxious situation, whether it's a toxic workplace or whether it's just different things that just make people anxious. We're human. Like, what advice could you give those people?
I would say, like I did, right? Try to work on it. Try to find what's causing whatever you're feeling. What is the trigger? What's triggering it? And if you try to find it and you try to work on it, Try to, if it's something you have to avoid or work on, or work against, do that. But if you try all of these things, it isn't working out for you, maybe you just need to. It's just like being in a crowded environment. You're trying to relate to people. You're really trying so hard. It's not working out. The best you can do is just leave the space. So just work out. Simple.
One thing I absolutely hate are any type of conversation where they talk about men and how men shouldn't express emotions or express themselves when they're facing anything, whether it's mental related issues or whether it's just emotions overall. Just like you said, I think each one of us have experienced anxiety or just anxious thoughts, but I'm very curious for our gentlemen, what you guys do to kind of cope with anxiety or just those stressful situations.
Well, in my industry, it's a normal thing. You have a target, you have to meet it. If you're not meeting it, you are regarded as a low performer or a poor performer. And poor performance over time leads you get out of the company, they sack you. So you always have to be consistent with your performance and everything. So I was working somewhere where when you think about waking up in the morning and you're thinking of going back to that office, you're like, oh, again. So I couldn't reach out to anyone because obviously I'm a man. You can't be telling people that you're feeling this kind of way. You have to stay strong. You have to stay strong. So I channeled everything. You close off everything and focus on just one thing, performance. Closed off every other aspect of my life and focus on just performing consistently. You must not drop. And it's so sad because the second you drop, you're back into that same ball, you're back into that same pitch. Every other person will start bashing you consistently. What are you doing? Why are you pressing your phone? Why are you breathing this way? You're supposed to be on the job consistently. So over time, you get used to it as a man.
With departments like HR, do they support with these type of issues? Yeah,
now where I'm working, there's mental health awareness. You have an anonymous mail you can send in case anybody is stressing you, they're putting you under a lot of pressure, they're stressing you. So you can send anonymous mail to them and they will caution the person and they'll bring you out of that space. But before it wasn't that way. If you report to HR, they're all in the same clique, they're all in the same management. So once you report to HR, they obviously trickle it down to you that, oh, you're the one that did this. So.
Yes. Well, I'm glad the improvement's taking place.
Yeah, yes.
Yemi, I'm very curious because you're in the food industry. Very proud about it and very successful. I'm very curious about your story, how that started, whether it branched off as just something you were interested in because you enjoyed food, or it was a form of therapy for you. Or is it a form of therapy for you now?
I find this question very funny and weird. So I'm a very stoic person. I don't overthink things. I just do them, and I don't take life too seriously. So this topic of anxiety, I kind of can't relate. And just is where so it's just I'm kind of person that if when things happen, I'm like, it's not that deep. So and for some reason, life works out for me like that. Like I don't take things too seriously. I'm very, very stoic because the things you worry about today, like I'm just very, very stoic. So
where did that come from? Were you raised like that?
I swear, I have no idea. I'm just like that.
I envy you.
I'm telling you.
We've had this chat before, you and
I really envy you.
Funny enough, it works. Like not having to, because after that incident, it was a case of, he was not looking for me, Baba, I don't get time. I go to come out because,
it's true.
Because I've evaluated myself and I'm like, okay, those times that you were worrying, what did worrying, what did it benefit? So I think I can speak to myself and just like self-therapy. I'm not a therapist, I'm a therapist, but to an extent, I can do self-therapy. Like, when this happened, you were worried, you were angry, what did it benefit you? Nothing. If you had just freed it. So yeah, I'm very, very stoic and I don't take life, I take life serious, but I have this mantra, which is, it is not that deep. It's never that deep. So I just breeze through life and it works for me. I'm lucky because for people, it won't work for some people, but for me, it just works for me. I had a 9 to 5 in the past and I had just one horrible boss. I had nice colleagues and also, so I'm a very, very, like you guys are very, very, like when your bosses talk to you, I will give it back to you.
Okay.
I had a boss that was like, she was like, shouting. And I'm like, if you don't talk to me like a normal human being, I will not do what you are telling me to do.
That's bold.
Yes. And she was like, she would query me and I said, send me that query. But if you don't speak to me, so I'm a very, very, if you give it to me, I'll give it back to you. And even now, as a food critic on brands, I'm
They
very
don't like
notorious
how raw
for
you are.
saying no or
Yeah.
giving people that pay me like basketballs. Like, if we're having a meeting, if you come late to the meeting, I'm leaving the meeting even though you're paying me. So I don't know. It just works out for me, and I'm scared that will this thing stop? That is my anxiety. That all these things I'm doing that is working now, I hope it will not stop one day. But yeah, I'm very, very stoic. I think that's just.
I don't think
It might
so.
not stop. I feel like it's how you've seen life. I think life, sometimes they say live life how you want or something. You've projected a sort of view to how life should be to you. So it has become that way to you.
Manifesting.
Yeah, sort of like that. It's crazy. I actually really do envy you. There are sometimes, let's just say where you are now. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to tell myself it's actually not a big deal. I'm trying to tell myself it will pass. Actually, it's just this time. Whatever is in your head will pass.
And I think that
it actually works when you tell yourself, oh, this thing you're overthinking now, it might not be as large as you think,
As you
or
think it
even
is.
if it's large, it won't kill you.
I was thinking about those lecturers in university that were stressing us that we thought.
I didn't know.
Yeah, right.
After we left, we're thinking
But
about it
yeah,
now.
that
It wasn't.
actually, yeah.
I mean, it was deep, but not that deep.
True.
True.
It wasn't that deep.
True.
So
Also, I wanted to say something. You were talking about suggestions to give people. Like what you were saying with your experience, there are sometimes when it's really that simple to actually overcome it. There are sometimes like that. But there are some people that have this illness actually it's not their fault that they cannot at that moment overcome it. Or it's not their fault that they cannot at that moment silence that voice that is in their head telling them you can't do this or you are nobody or something like that. And I feel like that's at the point where they should actually start talking to people so they don't get overwhelmed and start being adverse to life.
also too, I think in a way your background matters. In a way,
background by what?
like the family you grew up in. Like if you grew up in a family that always encouraged you and made you feel like
Like a firm.
like you are better than everybody, you are the
Yeah.
king and this thing. In a way, I think, I'm not sure, I think
For sure, it does.
that would help you not be scared of things. Like, yeah.
I think that's where she asks you, is that how you were raised or something?
Okay, yes, because
it's very
just hit me now
related.
that my parents, mostly my father, even literally till yesterday, like he's always affirming me and telling me stuff that, oh,
That's really beautiful.
I believe in you better than me. Like, so I just have this, it's bad, but like I have this, I'm better than,
Yes.
it just works. So I think that helps so.
Yes.
Because if you grew up in a home where your parents were, not giving you that, you try and find it elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that's just me
True,
thinking. I'm not
seeking
saying it's a
validation.
factor.
You will self-motivate yourself.
Yes. So
Builds that confidence.
Just build
Also
from
about knowledge
inside.
level,
Exposure.
Our parents, not all of them know that they should do these things. A lot of them are bothered about,
That's good.
my child should survive, go to the best schools and be cool. They don't really know that we also need to hear things that will make us feel better. For example, me, I sort of what you were saying, like your parents kept making you feel like you were better. To me, growing up, I think I was better. I mean, books were what we judged people by then.
Yeah.
And my parents made me know that, yes, you can do whatever you can do concerning books and whatever. And it was cool, it worked for me. But then there were also other aspects of life that I don't think they knew they should have spoken to me about. And I had to later start finding out when I grew up, got to school, experienced people.
Yeah.
Yes, some things were normal to others, but to me they were new because that's the first time I would encounter such. So my health space or mental health space regarding those things they were fresh. And so just imagine getting attacked just like that or things. I mean, I didn't even think people could be very bad or that bad. I grew up in a very innocent setting and all that. So seeing some things, I'll be like, how are people like this? I don't know. So those kind of things just put a lot of weight on me too.
So since we're talking about our foundation, one thing that I've noticed, even it doesn't matter if you grew up in Nigeria, if you are Nigerian in different parts of the world, this mindset, this way of moving still carries on. The mindset of suffering in silence or hard work versus smart work. And it wasn't until last year where I actually really understood and started implementing smart work.
I love that point.
You know?
I love that point you just raised.
And it is, I think for some reason we've been taught that the feeling of hard work and a little bit of suffering allows us to feel rewarded when we get something. But the sad part is many people never reach that point. Many people burn out. Many people get depressed. Many people they're just unhappy. And then what? What are you left with? Just feeling unmotivated and left with nothing. So have you guys experienced, the suffer in silence or hard work versus smart work? Are you still doing that? Or have you started navigating towards smart work, delegation, not looking at spaces that you can make great money and that maybe don't even require you to go to university? I'm seeing it. What does that look like for you guys? I'm very curious.
Okay, so I'm going to just put an example out there. There are some guys in my area when we were growing up. My father was very strict. You must go to school, you must do this, you must come out with flying colors. Throughout university, 4 years, anything after 4 years, you pay your school fees yourself. So I must come out within 4 years because I was in private university. We all like pay school fees myself. So all those kind of settings. But then I came back in 300 level and I see my guys with Benz and I'm like, guy, how did you do this thing? They said they were just doing their normal business, doing trade, and they stumbled onto something called crypto. And from their houses, from wherever they were selling, doing, buying and doing, and they were making connections, they were making important connections, guys that had money, guys that needed crypto. So at every point in time, they always have a source of income, a stream of income that they can always get from. Well, I was just a student in Redeemer University, that's all. Once I come home, I'm broke. The only money I have was my father's money, and after that, I'm back to the trenches. In my house, I can't move. My father was a very strict man. Nah, that man was a strict man.
So you went into banking, like what took place afterwards? So
after NYSC, so I built my confidence in NYSC because I was Obasanjo's personal accountant. That man drilled a lot of things into me, bad and the good. It drilled a lot into me. So I learned how to stand up to people, how to face things, how to not complain. Obasanjo, you mustn't complain. The workload is much, face it, finish it, learn how to do it. If you don't know how to do it the smart way, do it the hard way and complete the task. So when I moved from that into finance and I had targets, once I see people crying during meetings, when they talk to you anyhow, people are crying, I'm always like, why are you crying? Instead, just put that into this and push yourself. I have instances where I wasn't performing and they started talking to me anyhow. So I was like, nah, I don't like the way this person speaks to me. Rather, I would like to be with the performers. So I kept on doing that. Obviously, you fall back into the pit once or twice, but that drive to continue pushing, I developed it from NYSC. Yeah.
Do you think that put you at an advantage? I was just thinking about everything you said about how you were raised. Being raised knowing you are a king, that you're strong. I feel like that's a very masculine characteristic. And you guys let me know if I'm incorrect, if your experiences aren't the same, but I feel like as women, the world is very critical of us. So I don't think it's about doubting ourselves and not having a confidence, but we also just know that even when we are the best, we have to be the best of the best, because at times that's still not enough. So even if you walk in and say, I don't care, we also know that these opportunities and these positions, we're not really seeing people like us in those spaces a lot of the time. So we don't want to take the chances to not care, because who knows if we're going to be able to stumble across such opportunities.
So I'll say this, and this is a very, very controversial statement. Would you say that is a Black American way of seeing the world or a Nigerian way? Because as a Nigerian woman, would you say these things exist that, oh, because I'm a woman and I'm competent, I can't get this job because I'm a woman?
I'm curious.
I'd like to ask you guys.
Yes.
And I would answer to that. So my sister, she works in HR, and she's a top HR person, and she told me something about women and men. But I'd like to ask you guys, as Nigerian women, would you say Nigeria is not so awesome? So being a man or a woman, some things you jump up. Would you say because you're a woman, some chances that you should have gotten, we didn't get them simply because you're a woman?
I personally wouldn't say so.
Okay.
I mean, I know there have been
Or your
experiences.
truth, generally, like,
My
is it a
story.
thing or just like, is it a woman thing or the boss is a bad person thing?
I don't, well, I'm trying to think of how to say this without sounding some sort of way.
Okay.
But let me just give an example, right? I've heard of an instance where I was working somewhere and I told someone, I was very angry because I found out how much they were paying someone that I was heading, like, right? Like I was his team lead. And I was telling someone that, how can someone working under me be earning more than me? And he said, he asked me, is the guy, I mean, he asked me, is the person a guy? I said, yes, so that's why. Do you understand? That's why we are paying, that's why they are paying him more than he's paying me, because it didn't make any sense to me. And then that's when I got to start understanding the whole feminine and masculine thing in the workspace. And I then started to condition myself not to let that, I'm a video director, I edit videos, right? I mean, thank God for how the industry has grown, but as when I started, there were not so many females doing what I do, right? And I always had, people always like look down on me. Like if I'm on a set and I'm trying to send someone to something, the person will tell me that the director needs to speak to him first. I'm the director, what are you trying to say? Do you understand? But I like I said, I won't say, maybe that, not that I know of, cases where I didn't get something because I'm a lady, but I don't think it ever affected me. There's something I'm so confident of. I tell people that if I show someone my CV and my, what's that thing they call it, portfolio today, there is no way you can refuse me a job.
Because
Right?
for it.
Exactly. So I don't let the fact that I'm a babe or I'm a female affect whatever it says that I think I should actually get, right? And I think it's something that I've worked on or built on over the years and just not condition
You
my
don't
mind
let
to
the
it.
fact, but does it exist? I think that was your question.
Yeah,
That's what I actually wanted to
in Nigeria, so it exists everywhere, but back to what I was saying again, this is controversial, of Black Americans and Americans, they push this ideology that women are dissing, and Nigerian women who have not experienced it just ride with it. And I'm asking you, your own truth, is it a constant?
Like this
It exists in Nigeria, but is it a constant? Is it as bad as they say it is abroad, in your opinion and based on your truth?
No, actually. I just feel like, now, I feel like most industries have improved because the truth is now out. Like, we hear cases like that and they probably don't want the light on them or stuff like that. Or the whistle blown, maybe that's why but me personally, I won't say I've experienced it, but I will say that I don't know what is up with the air, but women, we don't ask for what we want or what we deserve. I don't know how it happens. It happens to me too. Like we just don't. I don't know how. Like I've also heard case of an HR saying that men ask for more pay than women. Me too.
They'll
That's happened to
counter,
me. Like what I do, I hear people saying, "Oh, this is how much you get paid." I'm like, how do you ask for that? Is the job even worth it? And meanwhile, they get paid that, and there's no question about it. But I still question my own work when I get paid something that I feel like, oh, okay. I don't know how to change that or where we can. Is there a scale for salaries? Is there a scale for wages for what we do according to gender? How do we determine what I'm supposed to get because I can do this activity or because I can do this job?
That's good. You said your sister.
Yeah, so my sister, she works in HR and she explained something to me. She was saying that Nigerian men, they have audacity and many Nigerian women don't have audacity. And she used herself as an example that she was employed and she had a boss, but she demanded for a raise. And she got a raise and her raise was higher than her boss's raise. And the boss was a woman. Now if she was a man that did that and the boss found out that her subordinate, which was a man, was being paid higher than her, the boss would say, oh, it's because it's a man, that's why. And she explains to me that in Nigeria, that women would rather complain to the internet and tell their friends that, oh, they are not being paid well, than actually tell their employer. Than men, because men have more responsibilities.
I like this perspective.
That men who are not even competent, they will demand for a raise because,
I've witnessed that.
they know that, oh, I have, a wife to feed and kids to feed. They will ask for a raise, but women don't ask for a raise. And if women are asking for raises and women are asking for raises, who will get paid higher? And when they find out that, oh, this person that I was employed with at the same time is being paid higher than me, they'll say, oh, it's because he's a man.
Where do you think that stems from?
Confidence. My sister, so she's exactly like me. Like in my own house, there was no gender roles. That's why I love cooking. Like, you know, there was no where you're a man, or you know, like there was no gender roles. Only the last one, I call him sport. Yeah, but I and my sister, like, we are kind of in the same major. So there was about three. So there was no gender roles. And so she's exactly like me. So in Nigeria, they'll say she thinks like a man, but she's not a man. She just asks for what she deserves.
And you too.
Same way I said.
You two used to argue, didn't you?
Brands that are paying me, I'll tell you that if you come late for a meeting, I'm going to leave that meeting. You are paying me, but I'll tell you that don't come late for a meeting. So stuff like that. So it's just a mindset. Obviously, yes, some people would, you know, pay women less, but I'm just saying, Americans make it seem like, you know, it's everywhere. It is in Nigeria, but it's not as bad as Black Americans make it seem. Because I have an issue with Black Americans and you know, pushing some agendas to Nigeria that doesn't exist like that.
The question is, are Black Americans pushing it, or is Nigeria picking it up?
Exactly.
That's what I wanted to say. The internet.
Picking it up from the internet.
Let's check a different angle.
The internet. We're trying to, like, you know,
Copy.
yes, something like that.
Copy them, everything they do, their style, the way they speak, the way they cook, the way they eat. Most of the restaurants in Lagos that are trending now are not Nigerian restaurants.
Thank you, Jesus. I put that in my story.
When you grew up, was the N-word offensive to you? When you were 10 years old? Was it offensive to you?
Now, I don't think
That was a guy thing now.
But now, if a white person then, or a non-black person called you the N-word when you were growing up, would you be offended?
No.
Would you? What if they called you the N-word now? Would you be offended?
Yes.
Why?
Because I've picked it up from social media.
I still don't be offended.
Knowledge changes a lot of things. I feel like it's knowledge.
You've
Knowledge
learned the
changes a
history.
lot of things. According to, I don't know what law it is racist to call somebody that. Because we know the history of where the word came from.
Is the word Oyinbo racist?
Actually, think about
Is
it.
the word Oyinbo
Question.
racist?
Oyinbo Popo.
What does racism actually mean?
Actually,
What does racism actually mean? Because when you look up racism, you have to have a position of power to technically be racist. You get what I'm saying?
So are you saying black people cannot be racist towards white people?
No,
because
it's not what I'm saying, but we're talking about technically the term of racism when you're calling someone Oyibo. I mean, just like we have Akata, things like that. They're words, but when words can actually dominate people and have oppressed people, it changes things.
I actually feel like this applies to not just like words that have to do with between two races. For example,
even ethnic groups.
Some like Hausa men, you hear people calling them malam and stuff.
Aboki.
Those stuff are actually they're not cool actually.
Aboki means friends.
Yeah,
Malam
not
is
when you're
teacher
calling
or
it to an
something.
Aboki man.
We should,
You know that,
we
right?
should not.
Do you
Exactly.
call when you say an Aboki,
It's
what
like
do you
you're-
mean friend? You say Aboki, do you mean
I
friend?
don't use those words.
It's like you're saying every
Chairman.
Igbo man is a businessman. He sells
man.
drugs or he
Spare
sells
parts.
exactly. So it's like you're stereotyping them because of where they belong to. So I think that's actually what it is. So we need to probably just stop these things. I don't call people Oyinbo. I actually do not. So yeah.
Okay, I like that twist. So shifting gears, let's talk a little bit about ADHD. I think everyone has it right now. I know you're like, I don't have it, but the reality is we live in a world where it's harder to keep your attention. I mean, if you look at even the format of social media, of Instagram, it's like you're people shopping. You know, when you're on a shopping site and you're scrolling through different clothes and you're like, I want that, I want that, I want that. So you guys being professionals and striving, having your own goals with social media and all of these things that 90% are not real, how are you guys able to stay focused in this world where that's exactly what they don't want us to be? They want our minds and our thoughts to be everywhere.
So for me, I curate the things I give my focus on. For example, I don't watch TV, and when I do, I'm a food critic. I'm not joking, the only content I watch, I've told you for like the past decade, is only food content. Only, and it's not like work or goal, it's just I genuinely am obsessed with studying food. So all I watch are mostly food content. Many Nigerian celebrities, I do not know who they were because I did not, watch Nigerian movies and all these. Probably when I began meeting them at events. I watch only food content and like that is all I watch. And on my timeline, on my TikTok, I mean, even the algorithm is mostly food, wine, restaurant. So you get
So based off
you
your
can curate your life to focus on what you want to do.
So based off your experiences, if you look at your peers that maybe just jumped in a new space,
Yeah.
but they weren't able to be focused, what's one thing that you noticed? You know, because of your focus, you being able to put those blinders on and say, you know what, all of my interest is going to go to this one space until I'm able to scale.
Some of my answers might not sound like follow the agenda, but like I'm very very picky with my friends, and it's about like my friends that are not aligned with me. My friends are not
On your same wavelength.
on the same that's the word. I don't want to be successful. Yeah, I don't like. We're acquainted, but we're not close. So like most of my friends, I'll say they are winning, and it's not like maybe I'm fans. It's just when I have friends that things are not going well for them, and they always give me that bad feedback, it makes me feel bad. So I just
Separate your energy.
separate my energy from them, and so most of my close
And
friends
that's healthy.
are on the same wavelength, and I like to be like the lowest person in my friend group. It's really really like
That's how you
conscious.
learn.
Yes, so like I have friend groups and I'm like the lowest and the poorest, and I'm fine
That's
with
what
it.
you
Absolutely.
think, though.
Eh?
That might be what you think.
We discuss this in our finances. I make them do it. Like I began doing that last year. Like hey, let's discuss our finances, and I'm the poorest, and I'm not poor by the way. I'm not rich either, but I'm not poor. So like I like being like the least in my friend groups.
Well, I wanted to talk about what you asked about ADHD. So, a person focus, and trust me, with ADHD you cannot focus. So we are talking here based off our experiences. I won't say I have ADHD because I'm not diagnosed, but I've read about it. I've studied my behaviors from as long as I can remember, and I basically what's the word they say now? Identify as ADHD. But I think it was easy for me growing up because I was able to focus on something. Book. Like I was good at it, and that was, if my cousins, if you call them today, what was my best hobby? They'll say reading. Though I don't read like that anymore, but like that's what they'll say, reading. I was always stuck in books. Books helped me avoid being social. Books helped me avoid talking because I don't like talking. Books helped me avoid a lot of things. So that was like, I was in between worlds in books. So I was not bored, my attention was there. But growing up and then having to like deal with people, deal with
social.
work,
Yeah.
deal with writing emails, deal with being professional, it's not going good at all. And I think I'm basically just like learning more on how to deal with it, with a lot of materials that are coming up now. But trust me, I don't know how to like, it's not me, it's not like I'm controlling it, or I'm here, but like I don't know how to do like attention. Just like I have to like tune my brain to something to be present. Basically, I don't know how it works, but it works that way. So when you stay focused, there are some people, like I mentioned earlier, we don't know what their mental health space is. We don't know what they are dealing with. They might not even know what they are dealing with, and they might just be attacking themselves, thinking it is their fault or it is an issue that they cannot do some things. But that's why I said seek help or talk to people or find out more about what you are going through, so you know how to like manage your way through life, because I heard you can't treat some things.
Is that something that people are taking seriously, or they just think you're distracted and you can't focus?
Honestly, I actually don't like telling people. I do, because they'll say, some will ask you, oh, have you gone to the doctor, do you know? I mean, in Nigeria, it's so hard to like diagnose a lot of things. Yeah. I mean, I've asked about it, and the fee they told me about it was like a lot. So I just thought, I'll be fine, I'll manage myself. So, well, it's hard. I mean, part of why I've avoided working. I've never worked in a 9-to-5 space for a very long
I
time.
envy that about you.
Don't envy that. I actually
Once
need
Wish you
the
had some of the
experiences.
structure.
Yeah, I've actually like never worked in a 9-to-5, and it's not something to envy. Sometimes I feel like I actually like need that experience to be able to deal with some things. For example, I've been trying to like build my own agency in social media marketing, but there's some things I feel like I'm lacking. Though people say it's not all that, it's not big, it's not hard to think about, but I feel like I'm lacking it because I've never been in that structure. So how do I manage people that I want to be? Like I want to manage people in that kind of structure. It's hard. And I learn by experience most times. I learn by doing things. I don't know how to like, oh, I'm watching YouTube videos and I'm learning. That's why I ran away from tech. I'm watching YouTube videos and I'm learning how to do stuff. It's not my thing. I don't know. I've tried, but it's just not working for me. So how then do I set up my agency without getting a manager?
We talked about this.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, but the fact that you already know where you're lacking, so it makes it a bit easier to kind of find those answers.
So what I do now, what I've been doing for like, let's say I sort of like became more aware of my personality around like June last year. So what I do now is I have people that they are really good at these things. So they are my friends. So I try to like, okay, let's talk about this. This is what I don't know how to do. So I can contribute to you in this way, but you also have to like, I need your help with this, that kind of thing. So I think I'm having like
that's a strong position to be as. Like you were saying, you being the poorest out of your friends. I mean, when you have people that are smarter than you, that are richer than you, there's information that you'll learn from them versus you being at the top. But Emmanuel, I'm very curious about your experience, you working in banking, how you're able to stay organized. I know it can be quite chaotic. You know, what does that look like for you? Have you ever experienced just feeling as if you're experiencing ADHD, or you just feel like, you know, I'm just jumbled, I'm overwhelmed? How do you deal with it?
Well, initially when I started banking, I was very scattered. So customers bring files, bring projects, bring loan requests, and I'm trying to, on my desk, I'm trying to just put this, and just looking at everything at the same time, trying to multitask, trying to impress everybody. Everybody looking at me like, what is this guy doing? Everywhere is scattered. So, and they now come up to me and say, where is this document? And I'm searching, scattering everywhere looking for this document. So, over time, with a mentor, over time, you start picking up certain traits from people and start arranging yourself and start focusing on the job inside. And I have friends that are right across my table and they don't, I work with documents and everything, and these guys don't work with documents. Again, the same bank with me. They work with their phones. The customer wants to open an account, they send the link to the customer instead. But I'd rather bring account opening package to you to sign and do all of this. But these guys work with their phones and they sit in front of me and they make millions. I kid you not, they make millions from just sitting down. They just sit down and say, I have this, which customer needs it, I'll add my 2 naira to it, and they'll make 2 million. And I'm looking at them like 5 minutes of phone call and credit alerts to enter their phone and they're on 2 million. While me, I'm struggling with salary, I'm the first son. My dad died, so I had to man up because they were trying to steal all our properties. And I had to man up and fight for the family and still provide and do a lot of things. So I had to learn trade on the job from these guys sitting with me. I had to learn, I had to be resilient. I don't know how to communicate with people. Now, you will never see me say, I come to someone and say, hey, I'm facing this. I'd rather just sit down and watch you. You know, when I saw you, I said I already knew you, I work with you already. I'll sit down and I'll watch and I'll learn what you don't have. I'll sit down and I'll learn everything. And I'll try my best to implement it and see how best it works for me. I don't have that strength of coming to someone and sit down. It has ruined a lot of my relationship. I promised myself this year that I'm going to talk more, right? I promised myself, first year, I'm like, I'm going to try and communicate more with everybody. But sitting down with someone and saying, this is what I'm experiencing, and they start saying, oh, sorry, you have to do this. Things I've already done before, things I've already tried. You're now coming to me saying, oh, so you have to do this, you have to go to the doctor, you have to...
I think both are equally important though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you, but like, have you ever like dated people?
Yes, a lot of people.
Have you
and I
had
learned that long distance works better for me than
Of course.
real
How?
life.
Because you have
Or
more
are you
time.
running away from?
I don't
the
talk
same
to
way, I
you.
can't lie.
We just fix a time that your time zone is this, your time zone is that. We'll talk this time.
I'm the same way.
Perfect.
So what do you guys talk about? Because to me,
Fam, in
dating
1 hour we'll
is
talk
getting
about
to know each other,
everything.
so-
Intimate stuff we talk.
I'm not asexual. I don't really care about intimate stuff like that.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So I don't care about sexual stuff. So that 1 hour we speak, we'll catch up on everything.
Everything but who you really are. That's my point.
Well,
You don't know it's true.
you don't know.
One hour is enough to like talk about the
No,
whole thing.
I'm actually trying to talk about how he said he finds it hard. He finds it hard to talk to people about things. I never used to talk growing up, but me, I just feel like there are times when you develop a sort of relationship with people, and you just feel comfortable with them, such that you are able to just. You have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
You know how bad it is now? My customers don't call me.
Because you don't pick calls.
Because I don't pick calls. If you call me, I'll watch the phone ring and I'll send you a text message or a voice note right after your call.
Where does that come from though?
I don't like talking to people. I don't.
Is there some type of insecurity?
Yeah, well, I would say it stems from how we were brought up. Because in my house, you can't talk. Once they say this is this, that is that, you don't have the right to talk to who. My dad was huge. This guy, my dad was huge. My dad would lift things up that till now I'll be like, you lift it. So there was one day I was trying to do something and I just going to university, so I was feeling independent, I could talk, and I talked back to my dad, and my dad sucker punched me in my throat. I woke up in the hospital. Wow. Ever since that day, talk back to who? Never. Never, I don't talk back.
What I appreciate about you, regardless of this, is how you're identifying it and you're kind of striving to work towards it. It's not overnight, it's not the next year, to be honest. Oh. But you do have to understand that when, as Pelumi was bringing up, she mentioned how it could affect your relationships. Yeah. And even larger, how it could affect the children if you decide to have children in the future. And how you just described your father, I don't know if you would want to be that person for your children.
I've learned that I'm someone that just provides. Don't speak to me. Just come back to the house. What's missing in the house? Food, money, car. Right now, my brother's in school. What do you need? Just text me. School fees. That's all. We don't have conversation. What are we talking?
How then will we change the narrative we're trying to?
Well, that's what we're trying. That's what I'm doing right here.
Talking, like, speak more.
He has self-diagnosed and he knows,
Yeah,
I feel
what
like
he's lacking.
if you say
it's not
you
the next
don't,
step.
but he's okay with it.
You say you don't talk. You're doing a good job right now.
Yes. When Tammy told me to come here, I was like, send me a script. He sent me a script. I was like, what will I say? What will I say?
I was like, that's it. But I feel like you're actually doing a good job right now. You're talking and everyone is listening to you. And you're having back-to-back conversations. I feel it's a case of you finding what you enjoy talking about, I think, or what you think means a lot to you that you want to talk about. See how passionate you are talking about it.
Money.
Exactly.
Money.
Even if it's money, conversation.
Money. Start talking about money right here. I'm with you 100.
You go.
Normal.
But you're like in that industry.
Exactly. So
hustle, bustle. You don't have time.
You don't have time to.
So when you come to me direct, because at the end of the day, I don't have time for all these words in between. Exactly. I get it. But just know that there's a time and a place for that, and you become a stronger person when you know when to be that person in different spaces. But you guys, to wrap things up, let's briefly talk on something that's huge. And us walking into the new year is something that we're seeing, which is suicide. I know it's a heavy topic, and probably everyone in this room has experienced losing someone to suicide. And again, I'm just here as someone to learn. Like you just pointed off, there's different perspectives and experiences of being Black in America versus being a Nigerian in Nigeria. And I'm very curious on just the education on suicide, what that looks like here, the awareness, the support. Because I do know that me growing up, and I shared this with some friends, me growing up, my thought of suicide was, how could someone kill themselves when you know that growing up Christian, you're gonna go to hell? So how in the world would you choose, why can't you deal with what you're dealing with now instead of, killing yourself and going to hell, which is the worst of all things? But then life showed me Pepe, and I actually experienced I lost the love of my life. And I saw myself get into a very deep depression, so deep where I was like, I didn't have suicidal thoughts, but if my mom wasn't there to pull me out of it, it could reach that level. So only imagine people that have reached a certain level of depression, whether it's untreated or whether it's just due to life, and they now reach the point of suicide, how we're able to support them or just the resources that are out there. I don't know if you guys have any stories to share, any thoughts on suicide, but I know there's a lot of people watching right now that are dealing with it or have experienced others that are dealing with it. If you could kind of share your thoughts.
Well, what I heard, sad news, they said on New Year's Day, like about 8,000 people worldwide killed themselves.
Oh.
And it just made it, like, it's so real how a lot of people are actually depressed, like, they're facing a lot of things. And I don't know, I don't know. I don't think I have the right words to say to them, but I'll always enforce on seek help. I don't know how. Don't feel like your life is valueless. I mean, there's always that one person that might need you. So just talk, just talk about it. We have, right now in Nigeria, I think since last year, last years, we have mentally aware, we have a lot of spaces that have been created to help people, even for free. We don't have to pay to get like mental help now. So people should use those avenues. And I don't know what else to say, because I don't know what they felt like or what made them get to that point, but I know it might have felt like overwhelming at that point or in that instance, and they might actually have forgotten about whatever religion or
there.
Yes, that was in their head. They will be so overwhelmed with whatever it is they are going through. I feel like start developing relationships now. Life throws things at us. On Wednesday, I lost a friend of a friend, and she's very young, and it was a very bad, like, an accident and stuff. I mean, we are all hustling, that's what we say. We're all trying to make ends meet. Meanwhile, your end can meet you anywhere, at any time. So it's just, I was just thinking about how many goals, how many plans I've made that I'm like postponing, and I'm like, oh, I'll do them, I'm just not ready yet. Why? I just want to say, like, people that, like, we should start, that's what I was telling you. We might need quality conversations now to develop a sort of relationship with people. They might not come in handy now, but later on, these are the things we'll hold on to that will sort of like help us out of whatever dark hole. Because life will come at you. We don't know what we'll be going through this year.
That's right.
We don't know what will come next year. We don't know what we might term as our happiest life, happiest year, and what the world will just throw at us. So we need to start building pillars or support for ourselves. We need to start getting materials that would help us, like, okay, this is something that's made my life feel like, okay, that's quality. It might not be you, it might be someone, it might be a picture you saw, it might be somewhere you've been to, the experience of food. It might be a drink, it might be someone you spoke to, a stranger. So we need to start building those experiences for ourselves so we can hold on to these things and see how much life can be full of quality, despite the downs that we might.
But also talk about depression and how it's an actual illness. It's not always just deep sadness. It's an actual illness that needs to be treated. And I would love to hear any other thoughts that people are willing to share. But as you were sharing, talking about how many people died, this year, January 1st, I was thinking of just the suicide rate of Black African men. And a lot of them are in spaces like law, especially law, business and banking. And, I'm not saying that this is the root of it, but that hustle, work, chase the bag, countless mindset and just lifestyle, it can become unhealthy.
Yeah. So in banking, it's over-ambition. When you're overly ambitious, you want to make the money fast, you see deals that will ruin your life, but you feel like life is once, let's take this risk now, or we might not have the chance again. And you eventually take the risk and it goes bad. So bankers, once a deal goes bad, there are two options. Either it's not bad enough for you to be jailed for life, or it is bad enough for you to be jailed for life. So imagine you're the breadwinner of the family and you're now facing life term. So you start having suicidal thoughts, you start having thoughts that, oh, I'm not good enough, I have to do this, and it can just come from a simple mistake. There was a lady that posted, she was supposed to credit a customer with $20,000 and she mistakenly added one extra zero. So that was $200,000. How much is your salary for a year? Now, how much is your salary for 10 years with the current exchange rate? You can't do that. And the highest anybody will be willing to help you with is not $200,000. If you now want to say you want to work for it, you will slave your entire life and probably that of your kids to the bank. So, and the bank won't want that. So,
Can't the money be reversed?
if $200,000 enters your account and you can move it, what do?
I'm a good Nigerian. I would
But is there a form of accountability?
I would wait for like
There is
no.
there is
I would wait for like a
accountability.
month, and
Fam,
if after a month nobody,
there are
because
people
they
going
can
through a
arrest you.
lot
They
that
will.
That's for you.
there are
We're
people
talking
going
about
through a
other
lot. Some
people.
people are good at hiding.
They'll
They'll
call it
go under
blessing.
the radar.
They'll call it blessing.
Fam, all they have to just do. Nigeria is not really tracking. Fine, they can track in Nigeria, but I get that kind of money before you realize the mistake is end of day. Because when you're posting and you're like, I'm short of this amount. Person has moved the money out, collected cash, probably bring the change, $20,000. They'll give you cash, you'll move out. You don't even need to carry anything. What do you want to carry? Just take your, in fact, what you're wearing and head out to Semeboda. Semeboda, from Semeboda, enter Cotonou, from Cotonou, enter Ghana, from Ghana, go to some country
Travel
that
the world.
does not have a name, and you'll be living some very soft life. If you're wise, you stay under the radar for life. You just be calling your family once in a blue moon with a secret number.
You know too
Hello,
much about
about
happy
this.
New Year.
When I can make more in my lifetime.
That's you thinking
you.
about it,
That's what I
but
said.
someone that is experiencing Shakpa now.
Yeah, true.
Stop playing.
Sakpa.
Do you know how much $20,000 is now? No, fam, it's a lot.
How much is that scenario? There's not
Is about 900 million. I mean 90 million now. That's you.
Oh.
That's you.
There's
A
another
banker, a
side.
typical banker.
You,
An MD of a bank probably earns around 5 to 10 million. An MD can obviously foot that bill. A normal banker that earns between 500k to 600k.
Fair enough.
How many years do you think it will get to 90 million?
fair enough.
So think about this, mad. So one random guy on the streets pushing truck now gets
I'll
900.
run away from it.
Oh, God.
And it happened to her. You know what she did? She just sat down and started crying. She couldn't do shit. So they just came and they looked at it. They helped her log
When they
out.
block the accounts, like
They
they're
helped
That's the
out.
thing.
what
At the end of the
saying.
day,
At the end of
you
the
will
day.
sit at the end of
You'd
the
have done
day.
everything you want to do before
Okay.
end of day.
Okay, well, to wrap things up, just to close, this was an amazing conversation. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your perspective. Just to end things, if we could just give advice to our users, just one, on if they're battling with mental illness, if they don't know what to do or how to deal with it, what's something that you could share with them to allow them to whether get the right resources to assist them or just provide them with more awareness, etc. What advice would you give them?
I'm not sure if I'm fit enough to give good advice, but I'll just speak to myself of 5 years ago, and I'll say, Okoyebe, your mindset and your perspective towards life would go a long way and impact your life a lot. If you choose to see life in a negative way, life will be negative for you, and if you choose to see it in a positive way, life will be easy. Now, this might not apply to everybody, but this applies to me, and perspective would help you go far.
Well, I learned something. The more you kiss ass, the more you kiss ass of people in positions, the easier your life becomes.
She was already not expecting some
It
Rema.
depends where you are.
Think about it.
Depends where you are
Where?
and your field.
And
People in positions,
let's
a
tie it to
president-
mental illness. What is this? Are you getting
Think about
somewhere?
it.
Okay.
People in positions, people in powerful positions that can change your life with one call. The more you kiss their ass.
You are seeing it from a place of lack.
I'm telling you, because somebody came to Obasanjo and this person was
That's from a
she
place
was
of
selling she was selling clothes and hell, the
So
richest
those
woman in
people
Nigeria,
that- yeah.
Alakija, how did she get her
lack. I'm not
wealth?
calling anybody's
There's a thin
name.
line between selling yourself and
You are
kissing ass.
Speaking from a place
me.
of lack, not you, but like if those who do not lack and are facing these mental illnesses, telling
They
them
are
kiss
doing
their
it.
ass,
I said, okay. I can't call anybody's name now on this
You are
podcast.
speaking from a place of lack.
I know people that don't lack and they are doing this and they are moving up.
I don't see it as kissing
That's
ass.
one way to get where you need to be. There are many ways.
That's
Me,
one
There
way.
are a lot of things I
I'll
can't
say be
say
competent.
on air.
I'll say own your
Yeah.
craft. And if you are
Depends
good,
on the way you
if you are
want to
good at
do.
what you do, people will look for you.
Okay.
For me now, I don't like go to meet brands. I don't beg brands for stuff.
Okay.
I choose who do I want to work with. I don't kiss
When you
anybody's
started,
ass.
how
And
did
it works from there.
how did you start?
I had a 9 to 5, so and my family is like well to do. So exactly.
You're already on the platform.
Trust me saying no. I had that mindset that okay, I have a job that pays very well.
Okay.
My family is rich. I don't need this brand to meet me. So I was doing these things. Trust me saying from a place of lack.
Okay.
So I didn't kiss anybody's ass and I did what I did and I blew.
You blew, exactly.
And brands come to meet me. I don't kiss anybody's
Shouldn't
ass.
have to.
And
Exactly. Personally,
So-
lack or not,
So
I'm
you
not
say-
coming from a well-to-do family, and my family is not like the richest or even wealthy. But I'm not an ass kisser. I feel it boils down to competence and your personality as a person, as a human. Lack or no lack, ass kissing is not something.
It works,
It's
though.
not.
Ah.
It works, but it's not
It's
something
not
that
the
I
big
will.
one.
I'm telling you
it's not the
something. I know.
only
Do you know
way
people
to
are
go.
competent on the streets of
Probably
Lagos?
that's your
I feel like in
Oh.
his industry.
That's what I
Yeah,
want to
I
hear
feel like
about.
in his
Especially
industry.
in
Looking
your
at the
industry.
pressure
I want to
on
hear his
them,
perspective.
I think that might actually work.
A lot of people that have first class, flying colors, they are
Nigeria, first class is
they're on the
different.
streets of Lagos applying for jobs. But there's one person that, hell, I can't say some things on air,
They
but
just stayed around.
they
to
just
get
they
the
just they just
opportunity.
they just did some things and
But their parents pushed. No, yes.
and,
but that's not as kissing.
like this and they're already at the top.
So regarding
That's
mental illness,
privilege.
how is that beneficial?
They don't experience what you experience. Me coming from where I'm coming from, I'll have to grind. I have target. I have to meet my target. I have to. But they will just come and someone will be like, oh, you are. Oh, okay. Come sit down. What's your target? Oh, okay.
So
And
maybe
they
it's
don't-
not
they
the
don't-
term kissing ass.
I
They
don't
know
think
how to
it's
find
kissing ass.
opportunity
Exactly.
and leverage it.
Or use what they have to get
this is
with
what
you.
they. Thank you.
That's not kissing ass.
Fam, it's kissing
No,
ass.
it's
If
not.
you see some levels of it, you know it's
But
kissing
then
ass.
I also feel like you're actually talking based on what you
Your truth.
yeah, your industry and what you see as what you deem to be important in life.
Okay.
Me, my own advice would be to constantly self-evaluate yourself. Okpa said he comes from a well-to-do
I
family.
did not say well.
Okpa says
Average
Okpa
family.
says
Average family.
Okpa says he was
yourself.
working a 9 to 5 before he started his like the food thing or when he started his food thing. So he had like a thought plan, there was support from this side and
Yeah.
support from this side. Plus he was also knowledgeable, he works in marketing or he worked in marketing.
Advertising.
Yeah, advertising. So he knows how to deal with social media and co. So me, I want to work. I'm working in where Okpa is. I would not compare myself to him. Let's say, no, it's not bad to compare. I will compare myself to him to grow. I won't compare myself to him and beat myself up that, oh, I'm not where he's at because we don't have the same things. We don't have the same
Sacrifice
backgrounds.
too. I don't say my
No, I'm not
sacrifices.
saying there are no sacrifices. I'm saying these things contribute to the mental health of people now. A lot of people compare themselves to people that borrow things to post, people that go to places that they don't stay. And I feel like it also boils down to what you term as the quality of your life or the things that are important to you. So my motto nowadays is constant self-evaluation. Look at yourself, check where you're at, where's your head at,
How can you be better?
how can you be
Don't
better?
be dropping bars though.
Stop.
Dropping bars though. Like,
She did it.
That poetic clap. You be dropping
But
bars.
anyways, yeah, I feel like that's just it. If you feel like, okay, yeah, your dad is rich, bro, use it, don't come and be for mystery for us, we don't
And it's a
care.
valid advice to those who need it.
It is good.
very valid.
I use
Yes.
connections too when I have people that my mom has called that, okay, yeah, she knows them.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be money, it has to be people. Sometimes you can be rich in
Opportunities.
people, yeah.
That's right.
So it's
I
not
want
kissing
money
us.
rich. All of you.
So I'm just going to touch base on 3 topics. Well, not topics. ADHD. What's it? ADHD, suicide, and anxiety. Right? I think they're the only ones I can relate to. I'm just going to say for anxiety, and I'm going to just speak on what worked for me. I mean, it's not foolproof, obviously, but what worked for me. Try to identify what the cause is. If it's not working out for you, if you try to identify, if you try to talk to people, it's not working out, it means you need to leave. So leave whatever it is causing whatever it is you're feeling. If it's for ADHD, so I suffered with that for a while, but I got to understand myself, and I feel like it has really helped me. And I know it obviously can't work for everyone. I try to compartmentalize a lot in my brain. I can do like 10 things at the same time, and I'll do them so well. And it has really helped me. Most times I write them out, put them on my phone, on a notepad, and I just try to follow up with it. I texted him like a million times, after send me topic breakdown, let me know what I'm saying, and prepare ahead of time. And just try to compartmentalize, write down stuff, understand things better. And for suicide, I haven't experienced it personally, right? But I have a friend who 2 years ago wanted to commit suicide. Yeah. And she didn't exactly tell me about it, but then I found out. And I had a conversation with her. We got through it together. If you ask her what was the reason you wanted to commit suicide at that time, she cannot remember. Exactly. She cannot even remember. Just imagine that had happened. Everyone was on with their life, and no one even remembers why you did that in the first place. So like what Okpe said from the beginning of this conversation, and I don't think it's a solid advice, but I feel it can help. Don't take life too seriously. Don't hold life tight to your chest.
It's a solid advice.
Yeah, don't hold life tight to your chest. Like if something is happening, all well and good. It's really painful. Exactly. But as much as you can know that it's going to pass, and you're going to move past it, and you're going to be happy, you're going to be good, life is going to be beautiful to you, and just embrace all the manifestations, or rather embrace all the trust and plans you have for yourself, and just move towards it. So I'm just going to say that for the three of them. I've said it works for me. I'm good, and
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, before we go, one last one, please.
Yes.
You can't control everything.
In
Let's
life.
go, yes.
Some
It works
days
for
you just
me.
need to go
You
with
can't
the flow.
control everything.
exactly.
And then for me, it's to check on your strong friends. I'm telling you, the ones
Strong
that you
friends.
never will guess
Check on me or
I was going to say that.
are actually going
Please don't
through
check on me. I
things.
won't talk to you if you're not my friend. Don't check on me.
check on
And
my
then
friends.
when you check on your strong friends and they don't want to talk, try your hardest to get them to feel comfortable enough to talk, because for me, I'm that strong friend, and I like to just do things on my own because I don't have time. I don't like to be complaining, and I don't think necessarily complaining is going to fix anything, but the reality is sometimes you even venting, it does a lot. So thank you all for joining me today. Thank you guys for joining me today. That's all we have, and you will catch us on the next episode of Women's Space. Have a great day.